talk about the experience of reading a book as fast as possible so you can find out what happens, but also not wanting it to end because you don't want to have to say goodbye to the characters, because that is how this book made me feel. If you're just joining us, I've been reading through the To All the Boys trilogy and watching the movie so that I can eventually watch XO Kitty. And last night, I finished the third and final book, Always and Forever, Lara Jean. Also, quick heads up, there will be spoilers in this video. Honestly, my hottest take of this entire video will probably be that this was my favorite book in the trilogy. For one, and it's a big one, Peter is just so much more tolerable in this book. He's still not perfect, but at least in this book, his and Lara Jean's love for each other at least makes sense. I think it's also easier to love Peter in this book because we get so much deeper into his character, especially his relationship with his dad. And don't even get me started on Peter's mom. I get that she's just trying to protect her son, but leave Lara Jean alone. And obviously, I found their story of what's going to happen to them after graduation to be quite compelling, but I also really enjoyed all of the other stuff that was happening in this book. We got to meet Margot's hot British boyfriend. That was fun. And speaking of Margot, I also really enjoyed her clashing relationship with Trina, their dad's new fiance. I did love that we got to check back in with John Ambrose, but I was sad because that also involved Stormy's passing, which was super upsetting. She was a wonderful character. I also think this book is a lot of fun because of the way that it marries together two really big life milestones. One being a marriage and the other being a graduation. And these can both be very stressful things, which is why I think it's funny that Lara Jean deals with her stress about graduation by instead stressing about her dad's wedding, and also by just baking all the time. Like, she is always baking in this book. I also just want to mention, there's like so much traveling in this book, right? Like, we're going to New York, we're going to North Carolina, we're going to the beach, we're going to South Korea. Like, we're always going somewhere. And of course, there are so many great moments in this book, from the prom to the wedding to Lara Jean getting drunk at the bachelorette party. But as they say, all good things must come to an end, so let's talk about the ending. I know a lot of people do not like ambiguous endings where you don't really know what's gonna happen, but I love them, and that is the reason that I really liked this ending. They might stay together, they might not. I really love young adult stories that center around graduation because I think the feeling of that first chapter of your life closing while the rest of your life opens up to you is a very universal one that we can all relate to. It's bittersweet, but it's also exciting, but it's also terrifying. There are so many uncertainties ahead of you at that point that it's almost impossible to plan or guarantee anything. And so where we leave Lara Jean and Peter in this moment where they're just like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's at least try. I think makes a lot of sense for these characters. Do I think realistically the two of them could survive long distance and end up staying together after college? Not really, no. But stranger things have happened. I'm sure there are a lot of people that wish this book ended by telling us exactly what happens to them in the future. But I personally love that it ends in a place where all we really know is that their love story was one worth telling. And as we faded out on these two as they stared up at the stars, waiting for whatever comes next, I was sobbing, okay? Sobbing. The good news is I don't have to say goodbye to these characters just yet because next up I'll be watching the movie. I'll do a video breakdown of the film and then we'll be jumping into reactions of XO Kitty. Listen, this book already made me cry a lot, so I am legitimately scared to watch this movie.